Okay, am I live? Hold on a minute. First off, how you guys doing? Hopefully you guys are picking up my mic. I already know there's gonna be something. There's gonna be something that's going on. Hold up. Okay, am I live? Okay, yeah. So you can hear two of my voices for some odd reason. Let's see. Uh, okay, did this work? Let's see. This is gonna take me a little while. Let's see. Okay, did this work? Let's see. Nope, it didn't work. Why is there two of my voices? Let's see. Mic, aux, video capture device. Oh, hold on a minute. Try turning that off. And let's see if this works. This is gonna take me. If you can hear my voice, I'm trying to figure out with my phone. Sorry. There we go. Let's go. All right. Sorry. I think my niece is napping too. She's about to kick my ass. All right. So I'm gonna talk a little quietly then. All right. So I think everything is picking up. So hello. How you guys doing? Um, how you guys doing? This feels weird as fuck. So you're gonna have to give me a little bit of time to get used to this again. Well, let me check and make sure that my niece is actually sleeping. Okay. So hopefully the mic settings might be off a bit because I tried actually messing some stuff with warning the stream. What's this? What's this now? Current bit rate lower than the recommended. Slower. Okay, I should increase that then, I guess. Let's see. At the same bit rate that I usually do. Let's try 10,000. Okay. Let's see how the stream is looking actually. Also, am I streaming at 1440p? Yeah, I am. All right, 1 second, guys. Hold up. Yeah, so my mic is cutting out a little bit here. So let's see here. Filters. Let's see. Where'd I go? Let's see. All right, it might get loud for a minute, just letting you know. Hello, 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 hello. I think I gotta. Hello, 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 hello. All right, there we go. I think that's a little better. I don't know. Yeah, so I'm actually trying to. Okay, yeah, now it might be too loud. But I'm trying to mess with the settings here to make it to where if I whisper, it'll be just about as loud as my normal speaking voice. Let's see here. Filters, expander, and I think I gotta lower the threshold, right? I think. I could be wrong though. Well, first off, I gotta lower this just a little bit. There we go. All right, I think that's better. And then the threshold, I think I need to put a little bit lower than the output gain. I'm going based off a tutorial, so you guys might not be able to hear me whisper. Might not be able to whisper, but let's test it. Let's see if you guys can hear my disgusting voice. Let's see. For this, just I'm going based. Okay. Yeah, you can't hear me whisper, but can you hear me talk softly at least? Can you hear me talk softly at least? Can you hear me talk softly at least? Can you hear me? Sorry. Okay. You can't hear me. Okay, I think you could get. Okay. It's fine. For now. Fortunately, my mic is weird to where I just don't know. Okay, so yeah, my niece is taking a nap, so I gotta be a little quiet. Because their room is literally like right on the other side of this wall right here. And we live in a paper thin house, so. Okay, so okay, so that's still kind of a little loud at times. Um, let's see. Filters. No. Yeah, filters. God, I'm so dumb. Um, and I think I gotta lower it, right? I gotta lower it. It's in a good spot. Okay, I think that's good. Sometimes it gets loud, sometimes it doesn't. It's kind of hard. Okay, so I think it's good that I talk now. So, um, God, where do I start? I'm sorry. As I said, I'm still trying to figure this out. First off, this is a test stream. Getting things running again. And I'm back. It has been how long? I don't even know. It's been 2 3 months, I think. And my apologies. I'm really sorry about that. It's the longest break I've ever taken off YouTube, other than me actually, taking the break. Um, but I wasn't planning on doing this. Because I mean, I did mention to you guys that I'm a busier guy now. Unfortunately, I don't have as much time to stream these days. But I was still gonna try and stream a couple times to a few times a week. But yeah, 2 months. I'm a great YouTuber. But let me explain to you guys what's been going on. So, if you guys have been keeping up with my streams or seen a couple of the community comments that I made, um, my PC has just been running into a number of issues. First, to start off as network issues. So, when I would boot up the PC, it would connect to the internet and it would say it'd be connected, but then it just wouldn't load anything. It's basically acted as if I didn't have any internet service or whatever. So I was trying for the longest time trying to figure out what the hell the deal is with that. So then I just did a method that it worked, so I just ran with it for a little while. Where I would boot up the PC and I just wouldn't do anything for like 20 minutes, and then it would usually work. But then just kept going downhill, downhill, downhill. So at one point, I was downloading a game called Star Citizen. I was gonna play that with a friend of mine, maybe do a couple videos on it, some goofy videos maybe. I was trying to download that, and then as it was downloading, the computer just froze completely, and I was not able to use it since then. I don't know what happened. I don't know if just the game fucked up my Windows. I really have no idea. Um, but yeah, then I spent loads of time trying to figure out what the problem was, and nothing was working. So I was talking to a friend of mine, and we were thinking that it might have been a RAM issue. Like it just could have had some faulty RAM because every time I tried booting up the PC, it would crash, and a couple other things were happening that looked like symptoms of bad RAM. So I bought a completely brand new RAM, switched it out, and still didn't work. So I'm like, yay, goody. And then I'm not gonna lie, I was really busy at that time and I was already stressed from a lot of other shit, so I just said fuck it and I didn't even bother looking at it for a while. Just cause it gave me so much stress. I literally spent days in terms of overall hours combined, I spent days trying to fix the problems that this PC had. Which I don't know if it still has. It's running fine right now, but with my luck, I don't know. But yeah, then eventually I decided to take it in and have it repaired because I just got fed up with the bullshit. And yeah, I just took it in, said, "Here, fix my PC. I don't care how much I have to pay, just fix it." So I took it in. They ran a diagnostics, I think this was called, on it to see what was going on, and a few things were going on. So I think what happened was the Windows did end up getting corrupted. So they had to reinstall Windows and I lost everything. Um, so I spent the last few days now trying to get everything going on the PC again. Um, and I'm not gonna do anything else on this PC for a while, meaning that I'm gonna use Steam to play games. And that's about it. I'm not gonna download any games from any other websites or anything like that. Because excuse me, Star Citizen was not on Steam. It was its own like website. So I don't know. I really don't know. That's weird. But as I was saying, like I don't know if it could be Star Citizen. That's what that that caused the corruption. Because apparently I think I was doing this. I could be wrong, but I was basically installing two graphics drivers at once. So I was installing it through the Windows updates, and then I would go to GeForce and install another driver from there. So I think as I was doing that, that was causing issues. At least that's from what I heard from a couple of people. But I really have no idea. So yeah. But real quick, as I'm having I'm sorry. As I'm having this conversation, I gotta go back to my YouTube and make sure that as I'm talking, no words are getting cut off. Sounds good. Okay. So it cuts out sometimes, and by sometimes like very minimal. But let me take a look real quick. Filters. I'm sorry, I gotta go back to this video and see which one I have to increase for the whispering. So here, let me turn this off for a second so I can listen. Okay, so threshold is for shouting, and output gain is for whispering. So I think since I increased that a little bit, that's gonna be a little better. Let me yell a little bit here. Let's see. Da da da. Okay, I think we're okay. I think. Yeah, I really do apologize because as I said, this is a testing stream. I'm just testing things out because it took me multiple streams to get everything in the settings that I wanted to do when I originally came back to YouTube and streamed through OBS. So yeah, I think we're okay. whispering. My whispering. My whispering still might get cut out, but that's okay because I rarely whistle. All right, but yeah, as long as you guys can hear me talking, I might have to do this, get this facing directly towards me. Okay. So, yeah, where was I at? Oh yeah, so they reinstalled Windows and all my stuff got deleted because I didn't know how to back it up. So I'm gonna try and figure out how to back it up this time around, just in case if I run into this problem again. Um, but oh yeah, I was talking about the graphics drivers as well. Actually, hold up 1 second. Seems like it's a little loud at times. So let me go to filters. Uh, Damn it! I already forgot. Do I have to do it through compressor or expander? Let's see. Okay, it's in the compressor. All right. So threshold is for yelling, I think, right? So we're gonna lower that just a little bit. Okay. It still probably will end up being loud at times. Jeez, I'm sorry. I'm trying to commentate and focus at the same time, which is not my best suit. I'm pretty dumb when it comes to that. Okay, so basically, let me take a minute to get everything situated here. I might as well just like stop the stream, just restart and explain everything from there. Okay. All right, so yeah, like back why did it get really loud for a second? Hold on 1 second. 1 second, 1 second, 1 second. It like peaked loudness for a second, so now I gotta make sure when that if that happens, it doesn't blow your guys' ears out of your head. Okay, it didn't blow your guys' ears out. At least I don't think so. All right, let's continue. So I was installing two drivers at once. Basically, I think this was going on. So from now on, not using GeForce to actually update my graphics drivers. I think from what I heard, it's actually best to do it through your the brand that your graphics card is at. Um, so maybe I might figure that out. Maybe I'll just disable Windows and or disable Windows from updating my graphics drivers. Everything else they can do. I gotta look into it just a little bit. So yeah, that was another thing that could have been, but also my motherboard was misaligned, which I don't know how that happened. I think maybe then just the people who bought my, or excuse me, the people who built my PC just did not build it real well. Because this is a pre-built, which I know pre-built, getting pre-built piss. It's been 3 months. Okay, give me a break. Pre-built PCs are usually not the way to go. If you build them yourself, it could be easier and you can save money. Well, it could be easier if you know what you're doing. I did months of research on building PCs, and I still didn't trust myself. So yeah, so they realigned the motherboard. And yeah, from what they described, one of the problems was the operating system on my SSD. So it seemed like them reinstalling Windows worked, but I don't know if it's gonna stay working. So it could maybe be the SSD itself. I really have no idea, but it's working okay for now. It sucks I had to reinstall everything, but that's okay. Um, okay, so I might test out a game here. Desktop audio. Need to unmute that, I think. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we need to unmute that because that's for the game, I do believe. So okay. So you know what? Let's go into a game. test some things out. Actually, I need to get a controller. 1 second. I gotta make sure when I plug in my controller, it doesn't like connect to the controller's mic or something. Oh, damn it. I can't see anything. Ugh. All right. 1 second. System sound. Okay, yep, HyperX Solocast is still there. So we should be okay, I think. Alright. There we go with the again. Okay. So just letting you know, the game can maybe be either very loud or very quiet. I don't know. Or it could be in the perfect spot. I don't know. But here, let's boot this up. Boot this game up and make sure that I'm getting audio in my ears as well, because I remember that was another thing that I was dealing with. And then, yeah, just go from there. Okay, getting audio. All right. Okay. I think we're okay. Why can't you guys see the game? Oh, there we go. Okay. All right. No, we're not gonna play Resident Evil 4 right now. Just letting you know. And we might just so I can test out the game. It's loud. Just so we can test out audio and stuff. But here, let's. So we're gonna listen to this, and we're gonna talk and see how loud the game is, and we can adjust mic levels and desktop audio levels. All right. So talking. Hello. It's probably loading game. Take a few shots while I'm at it. Ugh, get off my neck. Alright. Let me listen real quick.
Anyone home? This is not good. What was that? No fucking way. This just keeps getting worse.
¡Sé que estás ahí! ¡Agarradlo! ¡Ahí va eso!
Welcome. Huh.
¡Ahí está! ¡Bien! ¡No dejes que puedas caminar!
Break already.
My mic was muted this entire time. Oh my god, I'm gonna cry. Get off of me! Oh my god. No. I just realized that my peripheral vision, I looked down, I saw the mic was off, and I'm like, oh shit. Alright, now we're gonna test everything out. Have one of those. There we go. Now we're gonna talk softly and see how it sounds when we talk softly.
You gotta be kidding me.
Yeah, of course, I get no gameplay in as I'm trying to talk.
Huh?
Huh? Yeah, what? What, Leon? Yeah.
La campana.
La campana. Alright, shut the hell up. Alright, well, let's see how we sounded with like the 10 seconds of testing that I got. Let's see. Okay, so the game volume was actually a little low. So I think where we have it now is okay. Okay, but why does my mic peak at times? It's weird. Oh god, hold up. That was weird. I hope I didn't mess with anything by doing that.
Condor 1, I've identified a route to the lake. Look for a large windmill. There's a path on the far side of it.
Windmill. Copy that.
And be careful. Roost out.
Alright, we're gonna do a little bit more gameplay just so I could get a little bit more testing. Sorry. And actually, let me make sure that the options, audio, everything's at 100. Okay. See, I might have to lower the mic volume just a little bit. Just a little bit. Move that closer. Okay. Hello, friend. Bam. Have one of those. Hello, piggies. Hello, hello, hello there. Hello there. Hey, I got some for you. Hold on. Calm down with that. Here. Have one of those. Did it taste good? I hope it tasted good. Alright, where's all my friends at? I want to kill people. That sounds so terrible out of context. Where is everyone? I get that I'm overpowered now, but come on. I hear someone in there. I hear La Campana. So that means, I think that means the bell, right? I could be completely wrong. I forgot about you. There we go, get that out of here. You ain't gonna blow up my nuts today. Give me them shotgun shells, yeah. Hello, how you doing? Hey, you wanna have one? There you go. Good afternoon, good night. How you doing, big feller?
Damn.
Oh, you are a bitch. That's what you are. Alright, where's everyone else at? Hello, friends. How you doing? Have one of those, and then you... Nice to meet you. Have one of those. There you go. Alright. You dead? Alright, I think that's enough gameplay to test. Alright. I'm gonna go ahead and pick off my headphones and mute just so I can listen, and then we're done here. One sec. Okay, I think it's sounding good. I think it's sounding pretty good. Might have to lower the mic a little bit. Just for ear piercing purposes. Oh, how did you get wrapped around my mouse? What the frick? Okay. Okay, I think we're done here. Let's quit this out. Alright. So now, I think I'll probably stream for like another, maybe like 20 or 30 minutes. We'll talk. Let me go ahead and exit the game, though. Exit the game here. Alright. So, what should we do? What do you guys want to do? You guys want to come over? We'll order pizza. Order pizza. Get drunk on juice boxes. I think that sounds good, man. Alright, so... Actually, this is kind of something that I want to do. Might as well do it. Get some time out of it. Sec. You guys can probably still hear my keyboard. I know some people are like do not like that whatsoever, but I don't think there's really anything I could do to remove the background noise of the keyboard. Come on, man. Okay, here we go. All right. How do I get this to work? Okay, why isn't this working? Why isn't this working? How do I... Oh, here we go. Why is it showing my OBS, though? There we go. But now it's not showing my freaking webcam. Why, fam? It's like I either... Hold on one sec. Oh, no, no, no. There we go. Okay, now I gotta go back in game, or excuse me, in stream and make sure that everything's looking good. I'm sorry. God, it's hot as hell in this house. Alright. Alright. I think, okay, that's good enough, whatever. I don't know how to make this thing full screen, so I just zoomed in on this. But yeah, you know what, let's do this. We're gonna rank the Resident Evil games. This is something that kind of been wanting to do for a while now. Just give my little personal opinions on these games. FYI, there are quite a bit of these Resident Evils that I haven't played much of. So if I played every single one quite a bit, then I'd be able to get a better explanation on things. But some of them I don't really remember everything about. But let's see what's going on here. All right. Yeah, let me make sure. I'm sorry. I got to make sure audio is okay again. I'm sorry. Yes, I just used my nose to... My other hand is over here. Okay, audio's okay. Alright. So, let's rank these Resident Evil games. So, I might make this like a separate video, maybe. But I'm gonna make an intro, just in case. Hey, how you guys doing today? So, today we're gonna be ranking every single Resident Evil game. A lot of this ranking is just going to be based off of my personal opinion, but I'm going to see some of the flaws or goods of these games and still take it into action and see how it overall affects my ranking. That I'm so good at this. So let's go ahead and let's just go in order. Resident Evil 1, the original 1996. I'm just going to put this here for now. So this game, I'll tell you this, I have really grown to love and appreciate this game over the years. I've already loved it to begin with, but whenever I would think about the game, I would think, okay, you know, I'd rather just play Resident Evil 1 Remake, because that's the only remake that I like more than the original. But nowadays, I play the game a lot more than I used to. And I love it. The game is just beautiful. It's a masterpiece, and you know a lot of people call this game trash. You know, especially a lot of like younger people, they call it trash because of the fixed camera angles, terrible graphics, the tank controls, and we can't forget about the cheesy voice acting, which I think the cheesy voice acting adds to the game. It makes it better. Um, but yeah, this game, in terms of survival horror, I think it's still one of the best survival horror games of all time. In terms of how well it holds up to this day, not a lot of people they refuse to play this game just because of the tank control reasons and stuff like that. And same can be said with Resident Evil 1 remake. So that brings up the discussion like, will another Resident Evil 1 remake happen? Which, in terms of story and expanding and things like that, I don't think it can get any better than Resident Evil 1 remake. But we'll talk about that when the time comes. But this game is definitely up there. I love it to death. I think I'd give it a solid A, like an A+. Very good. I love it. And now we are moving on to Resident Evil 2. And we're just going to keep it right here. Resident Evil 2, it is my favorite game of all time. Out of any series, this game will beat anything. I love this game so much, and when I think of Resident Evil, I always think of Resident Evil 2. I think it still holds out to be one of the best survival horror games to this day. Bless you now, my cat sneezed. And there's really not much I can say about this game. It's just so damn good. The soundtracks are good. The variety that you can do in this game is so good. You got quite a bit of DLC, but you also have 4 different scenarios, which are quite a bit different from each other, so it's worth going through and doing all 4 scenarios. You got Leon A, Leon B, Claire A, Claire B. I don't really think there's any sort of bad things that I can say about this game. Usually with some of the Resident Evil games, I can think of something, but this game is just perfect. I guess a lot of people say that the game, like the puzzles are extremely easy in the game, which I can agree with. If you're looking for a good puzzle-solving Resident Evil game, this one would be the easiest, I would think, or one of the easiest in terms of the older games. So, but yeah, again, my explanations on these is going to be trash, but this game is it's very dear. But again, it's like the same situation with Resident Evil 1, the original, of how well the game holds up. I think it holds up incredibly well. It's such a fantastic game. It's just the only downside is that it's not on any newer consoles whatsoever. You would either have to get a PS3 or an Xbox 360. Is it? I don't think it's on Xbox 360, is it? But you would have to get a PS3. You would have to add funds to your wallet just so you can buy it through there, or you actually have to pay like a fucking $100 to get the old like PS1 version of the game. But this game, you can't really play it that easily these days, and I really wish they would come out with an HD, like trilogy, like remasters for newer consoles. I really wish that would happen. One day, we can hope one day. Maybe for the 30th anniversary they'll do that, but we shall see. But yes, this game, I absolutely love it. Best Resident Evil game in my opinion. And now we are moving on to Resident Evil 3 Remake, which again, this one is similar to Resident Evil 1 for me. It's a game that I didn't play too much of, but over the years I have really grown to love it. But this one I haven't played as nearly as much as Resident Evil 1 and 2 because when my family moved, we somehow lost our copy of Resident Evil 3, which sucked. So a while ago, I actually bought another copy again. And I'm actually happy I did because from what I remember, I think my old copy had quite a bit of scratches on it because back then it used to be my dad's and we didn't really take care of stuff back then. But now, yeah, the one that I got has a really clean look to it. And I'm treating it as if it's gold. Like if we ever move or doing anything, those are the first things I'm grabbing. Mainly just because this one, I think it cost me $100. I think to actually get a new game of that. Was I bought an extra one of these just in case, because my other ones were a little bit scratched up. I got an extra one of this for like $80, I think. But some of you are probably like, bro, that's way too much. Like sometimes you're lucky and you can cop it at like a DVD store or a rarity store and you could cop it for much cheaper, but it's rare. It's very rare. But yeah, going off the game. So Resident Evil 3, I actually consider it to be one of the harder Resident Evil games. It's kind of, especially if you decide to fight Nemesis in the game, it can be quite difficult at times. There's a lot of back and forth in the game. And the game, it feels like much bigger to me. When ideally it's around the same size as, like in terms of exploring areas. So in Resident Evil 1 you have the mansion, Resident Evil 2 you have the RPD, Resident Evil 3 you have the streets of Raccoon City. But I always sometimes get lost when I'm going through Resident Evil 3. And it can get a little confusing. But as I said, I didn't play it as much as the others, but nonetheless, it's such a solid game. I absolutely love it. I love, and I know you're gonna hear me say I absolutely love it to pretty much every single one of these, except for one of them. But yeah, Resident Evil 3. I'd say it's a solid A as well. I like Resident Evil 1 just a little bit more. Actually quite a bit more, not gonna lie, but they're still both phenomenal games. And the way I'm ranking this, by the way, is if I put games in the same category, the first one is going to be the game that I like more. So I like this more than this, basically. That's how we're going to do this. Now, next, we got Resident Evil Survivor. Ooh, so this one I only played once in my entire life. I've seen gameplays of it. I've only played it once. It's kind of like our first introduction to like the first person, arcade shooter type version of the games. In terms of the game itself, it's pretty short. I think it's only like an hour to 2 hours. I think it only took me like 2 hours to beat it. It might have been a little longer. It's a pretty short game though. It's just kind of like a side thing. Not a lot of people think about the game, which like this game being forgotten is not a bad thing, I don't think, because it's not terrible, but it's not something huge that it's something to remember. And yeah, my commentary game is shit because it's my first stream back. So if I end up making this into a video and the commentary is terrible, then you know why. This is my first stream back in like 3 months, so cut me a break. Yeah, this one it's solid. I like it. I don't hate it. Pretty much most of these I don't hate. There's just more ones I like more than others. But yeah, this one I don't really think about going back to ever. Like when I say, oh, I want to replay Resident Evil games again, like I usually don't do this one. As I said, I've only played it once in my entire life, so I'm gonna put it at a C. It's okay. It's okay. It's not terrible, but it's okay. And now this one, Resident Evil Code Veronica. Now this one is what I consider to be the hardest Resident Evil, in my opinion. This game can be pretty difficult at times. You can get soft locked pretty easily unless you know what you're doing. And it's again a game that I haven't played too much of. If you've played quite a bit of Code Veronica, then the game is phenomenal. But for the first few playthroughs, it can definitely be a little bit confusing. And I will say that the game doesn't really hold up well to this day, because it was kind of the first introduction to like 3D and the camera following you as your character moves instead of a pre-rendered background or whatever it's called. So a lot of the environments looked pretty bland and didn't really look that beautiful, Whereas, the first 3 Resident Evil games has some pretty good looking areas. They may be pixelated, but like how do I explain this? I don't know, just basically like the environments in this game are kind of bad looking, and I think it is due for a remake. I think a remake would be solid with this game. Gotta let the cat out 1 second. Okay, what? Okay. I can only stream for like another, like, not even half hour. So some of these I might make kind of quick. Okay. But yeah, Code Veronica just hasn't really aged that well, and for the longest time, because Resident Evil Code Veronica isn't really one to think too much of, I didn't really want a remake of it, but now I think a remake would be good for this game. or good for the series, because it'll introduce it will introduce the old characters that not a lot of new players know. Like for example, like I was thinking about Resident Evil 5 remake for the longest time, but about like 50% of the new players like only got introduced through Resident Evil 7 and onward, and they've only played 7, 8, and the remakes. So, for example, Wesker, we only see Wesker in Resident Evil 4 remakes, so it wouldn't really make sense if they immediately cut to 5 without the players not really knowing who Wesker is. Whereas this game is pretty much the prequel to 5. You get a lot of information in this game about that kind of stuff. So I think a remake would be pretty awesome, and I hope that they do that. But yeah, in terms of the game itself, it's fine. Like that's all I'm gonna really say. Again, there's really not much else I can say. I will say it is the hardest in my opinion, and there's some sections in this game that can really fuck the player over. So just keep that in mind when you play the game. But with that being said, I'll put it at a solid B, like a B plus. It's good. I like it. And as I said, as I'm ranking these, like this one's at a C, which may sound like I hate it or I don't think it's good at all. I still like it. But like if it was up to me, probably the majority of these would be at S and A. But I want to like expand it a little bit, you know what I mean? Resident Evil Gaiden is next though. Oh boy. Resident Evil Gaiden. What can I talk about other than the music in the game? The music is very, very just lovely. Again, it's not really one I think of. I think this is going to be one of those ones that I kind of rush. What did this come out on again? I played it a long, long time ago, and only once. I have since then never played it. I've watched playthroughs of it, but I played it once, and that was several years ago. But I don't even remember. It was like was it the Game Boy? I think it was the Game Boy. But yeah, again, it's just I don't really think too much of it. It's fine. It's not. I don't hate it at all, but it's just not really any one that I think of too much. Next, though, we got Resident Evil Survivor 2, which again, it's very similar to Survivor. And it actually goes off the story of Code Veronica. And it's in that same sort of style, the first-person shooter arcade type of deal. Which again, it's just meh. It's not really one to think of too much. I think I like this one a little bit more though, Survivor 1. I'm sorry, I would be providing better explanations for this, but number one, I'm dumb. And number two, I'm a little limited on time, so I gotta go a little quick on this. But next, oh man, Resident Evil 1 Remake for the GameCube. This game, I consider this game to be the best survival horror game ever. Even more than 2 original. I'm not even kidding. This game was perfect. In my opinion, perfect. For modern players, a lot of people already think, okay, well, it's got fixed camera angle and tank controls. Like, that's already a thumbs down for me. But I've played the old games. I started off with the old games before I did the modern games, so I'm used to it. But this game is the only remake that I like more than the original. This game was perfect. It not only took everything from the original, but it expanded on it. A lot of the remakes, they've cut out some stuff. Some more than others. Resident Evil 3. But this game, they added the whole Lisa Trevor storyline. They added more environments. And not only that, this game is creepy. The soundtracks are creepy. The environments are creepy. When I think of horror soundtracks, this is the game that I think of. This game, Resident Evil 2, has my favorite Resident Evil soundtracks, but when I think of the best horror soundtracks, it's Resident Evil 1 Remake for sure. The soundtracks are so good, the game is so good, and it's just the perfect remake. The only thing that I can think of that would be bad about this game, which it's not a big deal to me, but I've heard a couple people point it out, so I'm going to point it out as well, because it is kind of a good point, is how this game takes place right after the events of Resident Evil 0, like not even a day after. And Rebecca in this game is like a child. She's scared of everything. She doesn't know anything. She runs from everything. She doesn't know how to handle herself for the most part. And then in the prequel, Resident Evil 0, she starts off, you know, as scared and, you know, all that. But then as you go through the game with her, she gets used to it. She's learns, she knows what to do. Not knows what to do, but she's not as scared. And then not even a day after this game ends, and then you cut to this game, it's like she's back to square one. So yeah, it's like Capcom just like completely forgot about her and said, you know what, fuck it, we'll just make her character scared again, you know. So yeah, I think that's kind of a little weird. But again, it's not a big deal. I just heard a couple of people point it out. But yeah, this game S tier, 100% S tier, so good. I love it, and I really wish that a lot of newer players would play this game because it's so good. It's just unfortunately for a lot of people, the tank controls and the fixed camera angle is what holds them back. Which getting used to it can be a little annoying, but if you give it some time, it's so good. Especially if you loved Resident Evil 2 Remake. If you could get past the tank controls and the fixed camera angle, then you will love this game. It's so damn good. And then now, not even a year later, we got Resident Evil 0 that came out, which this one, I think I consider this to be the second hardest Resident Evil game. And it has its moments that are pure bullshit. But I do believe that it's an underrated gem. It's a good game. I love it. But it definitely has its moments that can really piss off the player. First off, they completely removed the item box, and you can only drop items. And then you have the old like switching between characters, which can be a little confusing for players. And the hook shot, which that's all I'm gonna say. The hook shot exists, and trying to carry it around with you. But there's that. But also there's like another section in the game where you have to do a puzzle, and you have the option to either have Rebecca do the puzzle. You can have Rebecca do the puzzle or Billy do the puzzle. Which, if you send up Rebecca to do the puzzle, it can take like 10 minutes tops. It's very easy. But then if you send up Billy, he doesn't know how to do it, so he has to go back to the mansion where there's a bunch of hard enemies to fight, and it can take much longer, and it can just become very annoying. So that's another thing, like, they just throw you in without any sort of guide. It's like, hey, you know what? If you choose this, then good. If you choose the other thing, then you're fucked. That's just kind of how they do it. But if you played the game and you know what to expect, it's a good game. It's one of the best looking Resident Evil games in terms of environments. Environments are really good looking in this game. But yeah, it's solid. I think I would go an A, like an A minus. It's good. I love it. Resident Evil Dead Aim. I'm losing my voice. Okay, sorry about that. I had work today as well, and I was talking to a lot of customers, so Resident Evil Dead Aim, it's again another Resident Evil game that I don't think too much of. But it's fine. I like it. It's basically like the characters are like a budget Leon Kennedy and a budget Ada Wong. I don't even remember the names, I'm not gonna lie. I think his name is Bruce, right? This was one I've only played once as well, and it was a long time ago. But I've seen gameplays of it quite a bit, especially on marathons. But yeah, this game, it's fine. It's pretty short. It's like 3-4 hours, I think. And the gameplay style is a little weird because the running and the moving around is through the fixed camera angles moving with you, similar to Code Veronica. But then when you aim your weapon, it's in that like first person shooter mode, like Resident Evil Survivor. So it's okay. Like, again, I can't really talk too much about it. If in terms of if you wanted to play, hold on one second, what is this suggestion? Audio streams current bitrate is lower. What the hell does that mean? I don't fucking know. Whatever. What was I saying? Okay, yeah, so this one, it's fine. It's okay, but if you like, the only way to play this, I think, is either through an emulator or if you actually buy the game itself, which the game itself is probably like $100. So is it worth $100? Not really. It's okay though. I'll put it like right here. It's fine. It's okay. A Resident Evil Outbreak. Ooh. This game came out at the wrong time, man. If this game came out in the PS3 era, it would be so much popular than it is now. So this game, it's basically like going through Raccoon City as a civilian, like through the eyes of a civilian. And it's a multiplayer game. And there's like levels in the game that you can go through. And what's cool about this game is that there's a gajillion different characters you could choose from with specific traits and skills. It's really cool. And I think it's one of the more fun co-op games of Resident Evil. It's really fun. However, I say that this game came out at the wrong time because it did. This game came out in 2003, and back in 2003, not many people had internet. So a lot of people just ended up having to play solo, which playing this game solo can be a little difficult if you don't know what you're doing. Especially on the difficulty you do, it depends, but in terms of the game itself, it's another underrated gem. It's so good, and you get to see a lot of Raccoon City that you didn't get to see in 2 or 3, which is really awesome. But yeah, I really wish that like either a remaster or a port or remake, something of this type of game right here would happen, because it would be so fun. It would be so fun. Like imagine like an open world Raccoon City game if it was done right. Like imagine that. That would be so sick. In terms of how to keep the game popular, I really don't know how they would do it. I feel like even then that would be something that would die down over a little bit. But yeah, like kind of like Warzone maybe, where you go into Raccoon City and you have to find a way out of the city. Like that'd be pretty cool, and the city's massive and you explore everything. Like imagine that. We can only hope, man. Yeah, Resident Evil Outbreak, it's fun. I love this game. I think I'll put it right here. I don't know. Which one do I like more? I think I'll go 0 more. Just by a little bit. The Resident Evil Outbreak File 2. This one, it's similar to Outbreak File 1 to me in terms of how I think of it. The same things that I said about the Outbreak File 1 can be said about Outbreak File 2. It's pretty much the same exact game. It's just different levels, more characters, that sort of deal. In terms of which game I like more than the original, I think they're both the same for me. Maybe Outbreak 1 a little bit more, but I don't know. I'll just keep them here. They're both A-tier games. They're good. Now, Resident Evil 4. Oh boy. Resident Evil 4. I think the only people who would dislike Resident Evil 4 is people who just don't really like action games. So for people who have played the first 3 Resident Evil games and then play 4, they're probably going to be like, okay, this is very different and very weird. But in terms of how this game was made, it's way ahead of its time. It's perfection. I love it. And it was our first introduction to the third person view. Still had tank controls, but I think before Resident Evil 4 Remake came out, this game held up incredibly well. And it still does, but some of the mechanics, I'm not gonna lie, it's hard to get used to not having them, like the parry, and some other things. But this game, I don't even know what else I can say other than it's phenomenal. It's the perfect game. I get it has, for a lot of people who are a fan of the survival horror aspect, this game definitely doesn't have much of it. Let me just put my cursor on it so you know what I'm talking about. This game definitely doesn't have, it has some moments of horror, but definitely a lot of it's action. And I love Resident Evil 4 Remake, how they spiced up the horror a little bit, and now it's like 50-50 on the horror and action. I think that's perfect. But I will say this, I'm glad that the game went in this direction rather than the direction it was originally supposed to go in. Because there's a demo called Resident Evil Code Madman, which is basically Resident Evil 3.5, and it was originally what this game was going to be. And in the game, you experienced hallucinations, there was ghosts, it was very different from what we're used to in Resident Evil. And I'm glad they didn't go down that route because we already have like Silent Hill for that. Resident Evil is its own thing, and I really don't want it to change. Like, that's what I'm worried about in the future, is if Resident Evil ends up having ghosts or magic powers or some things. I really hope that that doesn't happen, where it just drifts too far from its core. But them like testing things out and trying things out is cool. But yeah, I just hope they don't drift too far away from it. But I love the action games. A lot of people don't really like the action Resident Evil games. I love them. And yeah, there's really not much else I can say, mainly just because my explanation is dog shit. And what time is it? Oh yeah, I gotta leave in like 15-20 minutes. I might have a little longer, but let's get this moving. But this game, second favorite Resident Evil game of all time, S tier. Amazing. And now Resident Evil The Umbrella Chronicles, which came out for the Wii. And it's basically like Resident Evil Survivor. It's that first person shooter. But you get to see more of the story with Resident Evil 1 and Resident Evil 0 in this game. And there's a little expansion as well with Chris and Jill. You can see what they are doing in the year 2003, I think. These games are really cool. The ideas of these games are awesome. And I kind of wish that it was in like a third-person format, but that's okay. Like the shooter format is still pretty fun. It's still pretty cool. This is actually one of my friend's favorite Resident Evil games. Yeah, it's fun. I like it. I'm gonna put it at a B. It's like I don't really play it too much. I don't think too much of it either, but it's a fun game, and the idea of it is awesome. I don't like it more than Code Veronica, but it's still good. I like it. And now Resident Evil 5. Oh boy. Now this game, I feel like I've seen like 50-50 opinions on this. People who absolutely hate the game or people who absolutely love the game. Not even really people who say it's fine or anything, but I'm one of those people who loves this game. I could definitely see its flaws, the inventory system. But also this game, it was like Resident Evil 4, where what they originally showed off didn't really become what the game ended up being. In this game, it's 5 is very action-packed. It has little to no horror. It has a couple parts, but pretty much little to no horror, mainly action. And yet I love it. I still love it. It's so fun, and it's the best Resident Evil co-op game, in my opinion. The game is so fun when you play a co-op. But I could definitely see some of the flaws, like if they could tone it down a little bit on the action and bring a little bit of horror like they did with Resident Evil 4 remake, then that would be awesome. And I hope to God that this game gets a remake, man. With the talk that's been going around about this game, if it prevents it from getting a remake, I'm going to be so disappointed. But if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, a lot of people are calling Resident Evil 5 racist because it takes place in Africa and you're shooting and killing black people. Which I've seen like black people even say like it's just a game and it's not racist at all. It really isn't racist. I don't get how a game taking place in a specific environment can be racist. Like, you're in Africa, of course there's gonna be black people. But you know what? Let me take your side on this. Let's say the game is racist. What about Resident Evil 6? Resident Evil 6 takes place in China. You're killing Chinese people. What about Resident Evil 4? Takes place in Spain. Killing people of that culture. How come those games aren't considered racist? Why is it only Africa? Like, that's just the internet being the internet, man. Try and find excuses for everything. And yeah, that's just how it is, man. And that's what. Don't take this the wrong way. I do not support racism whatsoever. It's bad. It's terrible for any race. But a lot of people think that racism only exists for black people. Which, for black people, I think it is more than any other race, which is terrible. But racism still exists among other races. It's not just black people. But a lot of people think that. A lot of people think it's only black people that get treated badly. Which, the majority of the time, it is. I'm not gonna lie. But still, like, it's just so annoying because people just try and find excuses for everything. But yeah, I don't see how this game is racist. And from what I've seen, the only reasons that people would think that this game is racist is because you're killing black people. And I saw like it could be racist because of the depiction on the tribal area, which I guess I can kind of see that a little bit. But if they end up cutting that from the game, like if they cut the tribal area, then that's fine. Although I'm not gonna lie, the tribal areas are my favorite areas in the game. They're the best looking areas. I love going through the marshlands. I love going through the caves with all like the big statues and sculptures and things like that. Those are a couple of my favorite areas in the game. But yeah, like people are saying like, oh, it's racist because they kill black people. Like there's a couple white people in it too. And yet people only think about the black people. So I think that's annoying. As I said, I'm not racist. I'm really not. And if I end up making this in the video, if you guys have any more reasons about this game being racist, please let me know. Because I actually am curious why else people would think this game is racist. But yeah, like it's just annoying. But let's cut off from that. Because a lot of people are probably gonna take what I said out of context and think I'm racist. I'm not. I'm definitely not whatsoever. I understand racism exists and exists more with black people than any other culture, but it doesn't exist for only black people. It exists for everyone else as well. So yeah, I believe in equality, but some people believe that their race needs to be superior. And I'm not talking about black people, I'm talking about every race. White people, Chinese, everyone. There's some people that just believe that their race needs to be better for some reason instead of equality. All right, let's stop. Let's stop with this. I'm sorry. It's just, yeah, if you guys have any more reasons why you think this is racist, let me know. I'm genuinely curious because all the other reasons sound stupid. But now, Resident Evil. Oh yeah, let me rank this. I'm gonna keep it right where it's at. I'm not gonna lie, it's an S tier game. I love it, and I love these two. I think just about the same. I'm not gonna lie, which may seem crazy to you guys, but it just depends on the mood that I'm in, whether if I'm in the mood for survival horror or more action. But in terms of overall enjoyment, both are about the same for me. I love them both dearly. Excuse me, I'm losing my voice. So yeah, let's make this a little quicker. The Resident Evil Dark Side Chronicles. Again, it's very similar to Resident Evil Umbrella Chronicles. You get to see like expansions and story with the previous games, but also I love the expanded DLC that we never got to see, or the expanded part in this game that we never got to see, which was Operation Javier, where you played as Krauser or Leon. You can see them together in the jungle, and you can see that story, which is really good. And I really wish that got remade into a DLC for 4, which I don't think is going to happen, unfortunately. But I think the story itself is really cool. However, with the gameplay compared to this is fucking terrible. The camera is so incredibly shaky in this game. It's really hard to even shoot anything, and it can be pretty annoying at times. And with that being said, I think I like it a little bit more than this one. Just by a little bit, but yeah, I think what really brings this game down is the camera shaking. That could be pretty annoying. Resident Evil Mercenaries 3D. This was on the 3DS. I never owned a 3DS, so this was actually one that I've never played properly. I've played it before, but not by a lot. I was using somebody else's 3DS, so yeah, I don't know what really to say about this. It's fine. I think it's still kind of cool. Like the idea is cool of being able to play as multiple characters and go through multiple maps. It's a little fun game mode, basically, and for it to be running on the 3DS is pretty dope. So I'll probably put it like right here. It's fine. It's okay. Now, Resident Evil Revelations. This one is, again, another one that I don't think too much, but I'm not gonna lie, I'm not the biggest fan of this one. But with that being said, I still like it. I like it. But I don't know, it's just some of the sections don't really appeal too much to me. The characters are kind of forgettable to me. Like, it's just, there's really not much to say other than my personal opinion about this game. In terms of a Resident Evil game, it's fine. It's a fine Resident Evil game. Nothing special, but nothing bad. But in terms of how I think of it, it's okay. So, I'll put it at a B. I'll give it the benefit of the doubt. It's like a B minus. Now, Resident Evil Operation Raccoon City. This one I think is very underrated. It is so much fun. But there is one thing about this game that I do dislike, and that's the soldiers. Just fighting enemies with guns in this game is so damn annoying, and it gets so repetitive and annoying after a while. However, though, other than that, I love the variety in this game. You fight pretty much everything. You fight lickers, hunters, and the big enemies like Mr. X, Nemesis, tyrants. You know, you fought pretty much everything in this game. Crimson Heads. You fought pretty much like all the variety types of enemies in previous Resident Evil games in this game, which was really cool. I loved the variety about that. And it's a really fun co-op game. Definitely a very fun co-op game. Probably not the best game for single player, but it's still fun. I played it the majority of the time single player, and I loved it. So, with that being said, I'll put it right here. I like it. I like it. The only bad thing about the game is that you have to kill Leon. But luckily you have the choice to, which I have yet to make that choice. I don't want to kill my boy. Leon, I love him. But yeah, it's, where's that? Yeah, it's fine. But I think it's underrated. It's pretty fun. It's definitely not as bad as people say, but the fighting sections with the soldiers, yeah, I don't like. That's the only thing I could say. And now Resident Evil 6. Oh boy, there's another one. The idea of Resident Evil 6 was awesome. I loved the idea of Resident Evil 6. Having multiple characters return with multiple campaigns, the idea was perfect. And I really want them to do something like this for Resident Evil 10. Because Resident Evil 10 is a big one. I think they should do something special. But with that being said, the execution of this game, not the best. Some of the campaigns are fine. I will say though, the one thing that I absolutely hate about this game is the enemy type Juavo. I hate the Juavos in this game. Because them as just like a regular old enemy is fine, but they mutate, they shoot at you, it's very annoying. And every single campaign other than Leon's has the Juavo in it. Which, I think that's probably why Leon's campaign is my favorite. But in terms of that, the game is still fine. A lot of the sections got pretty repetitive with some characters. If they really deferred it, I don't know if that's a word. If they really did that more, then I think the game would be a lot better. Like, make areas more exclusive to each character, you know? And if they had, like, other characters as well, like, a lot of people really hate Helena. A lot of people don't like Jake. I didn't really hear anybody say anything about Piers. Piers is a goat. I love Piers. He's a cool character. But yeah, if they brought back, like, for example, like if they, instead of Helena with Leon, imagine if it was Claire with Leon. And then, you know, they end up meeting with Sherry again. Like, you see where I'm going with this? Like, that would be so dope. But even though I say that, I still like the other characters. I like Helena. I like Jake. But yeah, this game, it's just, the execution wasn't the best, and it's very action-packed. There's no horror in it whatsoever. It's just all action. And again, it's another one of those co-op games where it's really fun co-op. Single player can be really hard to get into, but again, I play the majority of it single player, so I'm used to it, and I enjoy it for what it is. But that's what I've noticed is that, like, for example, with 5, it seems like the game was made for single player and multiplayer. Like, you could play both and still have the same enjoyment. Whereas this is 100% more fun with co-op, no matter what. Single player, as I said, it can be a little hard to get into. But I still love it. It's fine. And with that being said, I'm going to put it at a B. I like it. And I'm not going to lie, I do like it more than Code Veronica. Not by much, but it's fine. I like it. And as I said, that's just, I guess you could just say that's just me being biased. You're right. I just love Resident Evil way too much, man. Now, Resident Evil Revelations 2. Now, this one, I consider to be way better than this one. So I kind of want to put this one at a C, I'm not going to lie. But putting it at a C will make it sound like I don't like the game when I do. But I'll just leave it there, screw it. Resident Evil Revelations 2 is a lot better than Revelations 1, in my opinion. They brought back some characters that I love. They brought back Claire, Barry, and just the game itself was a lot more interesting. The story was a lot more interesting. And it really had its moments where it made you go like, oh yeah, let's fucking go. This game is the shit. And yeah, that's really all I can say about this game. I never really played much of the what's the game mode called? I forgot. There's an additional game mode with this game that I feel like it'd be kind of fun, but I never really played it. And then the DLCs are okay as well. Nothing special, kind of forgettable, but this game is definitely a fun one and definitely nailed it a lot better. And I loved that they brought back Barry and made him a badass. I love that they brought back Claire. And yeah, just the execution was good. I can give a better explanation, but I can't right now. But with that being said, I think I'm going to put it right here, right behind 6. And yes, I think I do like it just a little bit more than Code Veronica, which, yeah, it really sounds like I'm shitting on Code Veronica. I'm not. It's just, again, it's one I don't really think of too much. Is there an F tier, a Z tier? Like, can I just, Now, this is the only Resident Evil game that I hate. The idea of it was interesting, but it got so boring so quickly. I forced myself to go through all the levels, and since then I've never played it again. It's just, why? They could have given us so much more with this game. Which this game came out in 2016 on the 20th anniversary of the series. And yeah, I think this is just kind of like a fuck you to the fans. But yeah, Capcom is not the best at making these types of games, as we've seen with Resistance and RE-verse. I'll get to those in a little bit, but yeah, it's just yeah. And now moving on to Resident Evil 7. Resident Evil 7, a lot of people consider it to be the game that saved Resident Evil franchise, which I would have to agree. It really brought back that survival horror feel and gave us a new look at the game. And it was a solid game. This game had some things in it that I say are probably the best in the entire franchise. But with that being said, the entire second half of this game I do not like. It's just, after you defeat the second fight of Jack, or third fight technically, and right before the boat, just the entire whole boat section, it's just so annoying. And every time I play Resident Evil 7, as soon as I get to the boat, I'm like, oh boy, here we go. Because not only do they make you go through the boat once, but they make you go through it again. And I think it would be a little better if, you know how in the tape that Evelyn makes you watch, if we were able to skip that. If we were able to skip that, I feel like that would make it a lot better, but we can't. So yeah, and then after the boat, you go through like the caves underground, and the boss fight, the ending boss fight is meh. I just don't really think too much of it. It's the entire rest of the game, like, it's just nowhere near as good as the first half. The first half was so goddamn good. But also, another thing I don't like about this game is the enemy variety. You had the molded, which the molded were fine, but that's all you fought. And eventually, after a while, it just kind of got a little annoying. But it's not terrible, as I said. But I will say one of my favorite boss fights is in this game, and that's Margaret. I love the Margaret boss fight. Her the fight itself is awesome, but I love the way they made her character look and act. It's so creepy and so cool at the same time. And I think it's one of my favorite boss fights in the franchise. It's so cool. But yeah, it definitely really brought a whole new look on Resident Evil again. If this game didn't exist, I don't think the remakes would be nearly as good as they are now. So with that being said, it is the second least favorite of the entire franchise for me. I know that sounds like a bad thing, but that's just how it is. But I still love this game dearly. I really do. I think I'll put it. I'll put it right here. But see, like, I feel like this. You know what? This game deserves an A. Just because this game, in terms of my enjoyment, I do enjoy 6 more, which may sound crazy. I know it does. But in terms of the amount of flaws that each game has, 6 has a lot more flaws, while this one doesn't. The game, and I think also what makes up for this game as well, is how I said I don't like the entirety second half of the game, and the game is kind of short, is that it has so much DLC in the game. So much. Hours and hours of DLC. Which is awesome. Like, I wish every Resident Evil game had the DLC that this game got. So, yeah, you know what? It's good. I like it. I love how I say it's good. I like it pretty much after every single one. Solid Resident Evil game. Resident Evil 2 Remake. Oh, man. When this happened, I flipped my shit. I wanted a Resident Evil 2 Remake for so long. And I didn't think it was going to happen. In 2015, they announced they're going to do it. But for 3 years, we had no info about the game. And then they announced it, and I nearly cried. I was so happy. But yeah, Resident Evil 2, I'd say it's a flawless remake. So damn good. I wouldn't say flawless, so I guess, because there are a couple of things about this game. Like, number one being, unfortunately, the A and B scenarios being too similar. While as in the OG Resident Evil 2, they were a lot more different. Like, for example, in the A sides of Resident Evil 2 Original, you didn't even see Mr. X. Was in the B sides, you did, and then in this game, he's just in both sides. And the intros of the campaigns are different, but then other than that, the rest of the game is pretty much the exact same as like the A and B scenarios. Like, they're pretty similar, unfortunately. So I kind of consider this game to only have 2 campaigns. Because, yeah, usually when I revisit the original Resident Evil 2, I do all 4 scenarios. But this one, I only do one or the other. So I either do Claire A, Leon B, or Leon A, Claire B. It just depends. But other than that, I can't really think of anything else that this game has flaws of. It's so damn good. It's got some DLC as well. That's pretty fun. I liked the Ghost Survivors. Is that what it's called? Where you get to see like a little mini campaign of each character that originally died in the games. So you get to play as the mayor's daughter. You get to play as Kendo. You got to play as, I don't know who else. Either way, it's a pretty fun DLC, and you got the little game mode where you have to survive in the shop and kill 100 zombies, which can be a little fun. And then you have the 4th survivor and things like that, which is kind of fun as well. So yeah, DLC is okay for this game, but by far it's a solid remake. I absolutely love it. And I'm gonna keep it exactly where it's at right now, S tier. Resident Evil Project Resistance. A game that the idea was there, but it just kind of died down quickly, and it just kind of got boring after a while. But it's alright. I think this game had potential to be really good if Capcom really tried their hardest, but if they avoided like attention on this game to make their single games better, then I'm glad. Because I remember hearing that, for example, from Naughty Dog, where they canceled the Last of Us multiplayer game because if they ended up putting more time into the Last of Us multiplayer, they wouldn't have as much time to make their single players games good. So I feel like that's kind of the case with some of these games, which I'm fine with. I'd rather have really good single player games than, good versions of these games. But yeah, I think this game is fine. The idea was awesome. It could kind of get boring kind of quickly. So that's the only thing I can say. With that being said, I will put it, I think right here, a C. Resident Evil 3 Remake. As a remake, this game was not good at all. But as a Resident Evil game, so much fun. I love the game so much. It's incredibly fun. And I replay it all the time. As a remake, it was terrible. It was rushed because I think the studio's main importance at the time was Village. This just, I literally see this game as a DLC for Resident Evil 2. That's just how I see it. Because it's a short campaign, like 5 hours, and that's all that there is to it. There's no DLC. I mean, there's like extra content shop that you can get extra unlocks from, like weapons and skins and things like that. But yeah, other than that, it's just the campaign. That's it. There's nothing else to play. But the campaign, it's still loads of fun. I love this game. And it has some of the best, character acting things. Almost. When are you leaving? Alright. Alright, sorry. I didn't even mute my mic either. But yeah, I gotta go with as I thought I would. Alright, where was I at? Oh yeah, so I gotta wrap this up pretty quickly. I mean, there's not much to say about this game, and same with Village, I'm not gonna lie, but Resident Evil 3 is still incredibly fun. It has some of the best environments, I say. It has some pretty environments. Unfortunately, roaming through the streets of Raccoon City is very limited in this game, as it was in the original. So, yeah, it's just a lot of things got cut in this game, which sucks. But overall, as a Resident Evil game, it's like a 9 out of 10. Remake, like a 4 out of 10. With that being said, I think I'm going to put it... Put it right here. I think this is a good spot. And yes, I do like it more than... No. As I say, I like it more than these two, but no, I don't. I might actually... Should I move 7 above Outbreak? Because I do play 7 more than Outbreak. It's kind of hard. I'll just leave it. Resident Evil Village. So this game... I've actually only have like 40 hours put into this game. Not that much at all, surprisingly. And to me, it's very similar to 7. So it has some really cool horror aspects, but the entire second half of the game, I just can't really think too much of. And it's just meh to me. So like, and that when I say that, I'm talking about the factory and Onward. So the factory, it's all right. I don't really like it too much. I remember when I actually did replay the game quite a bit. When I would get to the factory, I would just be like, okay, let's get through this. In terms of the characters and the 4 lords, like, I'm not gonna lie, they're kind of forgettable for me. And the game was incredibly deceiving because when the trailers came out for the game, it made it look like the majority of the game was gonna be in the castle with Lady Dimitrescu chasing you. But that's only like a small section of the game. Yeah, there's really not much I can say. It's fine. They brought back some old school style to it, especially like 4, where they had the inventory and the Duke being the merchant. So that was pretty cool. And I will say this game had one of the most scariest moments in the entire franchise. I think you guys know what I'm talking about. There's a hint. But yeah, it's an okay game. Again, it drifted pretty far from the Resident Evil core. Like, they had werewolves, they had vampires, which was a little weird. And as I said, I'm worried about them, like, drifting further and further and further away from each new game that they do. I hope not. But, like, them experimenting is cool. I just hope they don't continue with that sort of pattern, Well, with that being said, the werewolves were cool and the vampires were cool, but a lot of times it felt like I was playing, like, Silent Hill or something else rather than Resident Evil, so... And with that being said, I think I'm gonna put it right here. It is my least favorite of the mainline games. It's fine. But it's nothing. It's not really one that I replay too much, you know. RE-Verse, again, I think it's just kind of a game that just people lose interest in so quickly. It's alright, nothing too special. And I think the game was very buggy at one point to where they had to delay it. Then they delay it and it didn't really become any better. I don't know because I haven't played much of RE-Verse, so I don't really have the full experience on how good the game is. I feel like it could be fun with other players, but again, it's like Resistance, so you just lose interest quickly. So I'll put it right here. Actually, I think I'll put it like right here. Yeah. And then last but not least, Resident Evil 4 Remake. In terms of how this remake was done, I say is the best out of all the new remakes. I think Resident Evil 1 is still the best remake, but in terms of what a remake is truly supposed to be, I think Resident Evil 4 nailed. They took pretty much everything, expanded on it, and they just made the game so fun. And I didn't think that this game was going to be that good. I did not know how they could top the original Resident Evil 4, but they did. And it's I still like the original 4 a little bit more, but this game, it's so incredibly fun. And what I think I forgot to mention with some of the other Resident Evil games is a big thing for me when it comes to ranking Resident Evil games is replayability. 7 doesn't have a lot of it. Same with Village. I mean, Village does, actually, yeah. What am I saying? It does. But yeah, 7 doesn't really have it. Quite a bit of these Resident Evil games don't have a lot of replayability. 4 does. Big time. I can replay this game a lot and get so much fun out of it. And yeah, it's just, they just pretty much took everything from the original and made it better. I think in terms of the enjoyment, I think they're about the same for me. I think 4 wins, the original 4 wins just because of nostalgia, I'm not going to lie. But this is something that I didn't think they'd be able to nail, but they did. I think any future remakes that happen need to be like Resident Evil 4 Remake. So damn good. And not only that, they came out with the Separate Ways DLC, which is my favorite DLC. I think it might be my second favorite. I still love Lost in Nightmares from Resident Evil 5. I think that still might be my favorite. But Separate Ways felt like its own little mini campaign. It was so good. It was like a 5-6 hour experience. And the thing is with DLCs is that there's not any replayability to me for them. Well, as Separate Ways did that. So if I, for example, like, what's a good example? All right, well, let's compare it to the original Resident Evil 4. The original Resident Evil 4, if I go back to that game, sometimes I'll play Separate Ways. Not all the time. Whereas every time I would go and revisit 4 Remake, I would also play Separate Ways. The Separate Ways was so much better done in the original 4. 4, definitely, the original 4 had its moments where it was good. But this really just, they nailed what the DLC was supposed to be. It literally felt like its own campaign. It had a good length. There was a lot of new areas that were only exclusive to Ada, which was really cool. And you could upgrade your weapons. You can do pretty much the same thing you could do in the base game. And it was awesome. But yeah. Sorry, I would talk more about this, but I gotta get going. But that's how I rank my Resident Evil games. Some of these are probably out of place, but as I said, all of these I pretty much love. Like, they're so much fun. Other than like the last like 4. Umbrella Corps, I hate it. Gaiden is same with the rest of this stuff. Resistance was okay, and then Dead Aim was okay. And from here and upward, I like all of these games. But then I love all these. You know what I'm talking about. But yeah, that's gonna be it for today's stream. If I end up uploading this into a video, let me know in the comments if you guys thought that I did something very stupid and put a game in a very stupid area. Like, some people would say, like, Resident Evil 3 Remake, oh, D, get that garbage out of here, you know? Some people would say, oh, Resident Evil 8 Village, S tier, and then Resident Evil 5 C tier, you know? So let me know what you guys think. But with that being said, that's gonna be it for today's stream. thank you guys for watching. I'm probably gonna try and do a couple more like testing streams with some games. I'm sorry I didn't have time to get into any games today. In terms of when I'll be live next, I might be live a little bit later this week. It's kind of hard. It's a little bit of a weird week, but with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching, and thank you guys for being patient with me. I'm sorry that I was gone for so long. If you guys want to know why, go check the beginning of the stream. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you all for chilling with me.